Hello and welcome to For Fox's Sake. This is the preview with me, Rob Hayes, Pete Selby, and Jono Towers. If you are watching us live from the very beginning, you might have seen a few seconds of us just staring blankly at the screen because my screen greyed out for a second. I went round and round and round in circles, and Jono and Pete were looking at me like, "Are we going? Are we going?" It wasn't me. Technology. I'll blame the technology. We're here to preview Leicester versus QPR away at Loftus Road, Saturday 3:00. The return of Marti Cifuentes to Loftus Road, and we will get into that in a few minutes' time. Just a reminder for those of you who haven't heard yet, if you haven't heard, what rock have you been living under in the last few weeks, that we have rebranded. If you're watching us, you'll see along the top there and in the bottom corners there, our brand new logo for the brand new For Fox's Sake 2.0, For Fox's Sake New Era, whatever you want to call it. From January the 1st, we have a subscription website launching with pretty much everything you could wish to consume about Leicester City all in one place, with me, Pete, and our good friend Andy Moore, who has now come on board with For Fox's Sake and brought his written journalism expertise. We've been busy working hard behind the scenes to make sure that the website is ready for you on the 1st of January. If you want to see it on the 1st of January, then you can go now to forfoxsake.news, forfoxsake.news, put in your email address, register your early interest, and if you do so, that will entitle you to a discounted rate, either monthly or for an annual subscription to our brand new website launching January the 1st. It will not cost you more than the price of 1 pint of your favorite tipple per month. That's it. That's our promise to you. The shows, like the preview, big show, women's football show, FPL show, and the champion show, will largely remain completely free of charge. We're not going to hide those behind the subscription wall. So if you are an avid listener or watcher of For Fox's Sake over the years, don't worry, you can still consume these shows without a subscription. It's more the written content that is going to be put on there. We're talking match previews, match reviews, loads of huge interviews that I really want to say some names, but I don't really think I should right now. We'll hold on for that. Huge interviews with some massive names from the recent past and the more sort of not distant past, but, you know, quite a few years ago. We're talking names for every Leicester fan. So for foxsake.news, last time I mentioned it in the first part of the show, you might rear its head again in a little while. So the preview, let's get down to it. Leicester QPR on Saturday. I'm hoping I know what answer I'm going to get to my usual opening question. Pete, are we feeling optimistic or pessimistic about Leicester's visit to QPR on Saturday?
It's got all the hallmarks of a great game. QPR, they're from a slightly obscure betting angle, they're a really good both teams to score team, and so are Leicester as well. They like to concede goals, as we know, but also in recent times have been scoring, and that's what QPR. It's 7 of the last 9 have been both teams scoring, and they're very much a team who loses and also wins. Hence the reason they're exactly the same position as Leicester, although one place below. You know what I mean? And it looks like a good game on paper. But first of all, A, not interested in games being played on paper, and B, even though they used to have a really hard pitch and everything and that, but we're not going to go into that. But secondly, we're looking from a Leicester angle, and yes, I am. I'm really. I think it's going to be a fascinating game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. We'll come on to that later. But also, and I think with every Leicester fan, we're buoyed by what's happened in recent weeks, not just with the wins, not just with the points, but with the performance as well, with the effort shown. And even though we are not the best side in the world, that doesn't matter because we've scored the best goal in the world. And, you know, we can take that into Christmas and stick that on the middle of a Christmas tree and then keep on looking at that. Even if it all goes wrong over the next 6 months, we've got that goal to look back on.
That moment has been enough for you, has it? Jono, you're not always that easy to get a bit of optimism out on the preview this season so far. Quite rightly so. I mean, there's not been a huge amount to be optimistic about, but how are we today?
I'm pretty good, yeah. To be fair, I try my best to be optimistic, but as you say, it's not been easy this season to see the positive side of things. But I do feel like we've turned a corner. I do genuinely feel that way. although, we did have that spell where we won 2 in a row just before the international break and we thought we'd turned the corner, and clearly we hadn't. I think this time round, it feels a little bit different. It feels like there is, certain players aren't featuring anymore. And I feel that has made a difference. And I feel that probably a lot of the fans that certainly I've spoken to anyway, feel the same way, that, the Marti's finally sort of clocked onto the fact that some of the players that aren't pulling their weight, and the ones that aren't clearly aren't featuring. So all in all, I'm definitely feeling optimistic from now on, I think. Fataru's goal, I'm sure we'll probably get onto that, but was astonishing. It was fantastic. And I think that really sort of cemented, I think, a feeling, certainly around where I was sitting in the stadium, that, maybe we are, seeing a new emergence of a new team here.
I get the impression, just with that goal, by the way, Rob, we don't want to keep on going on about that goal, but that goal, I get the impression that goal is just going to get better throughout the years. It's going to be looked back on really fondly. I just get that impression. Sometimes a goal can be scored and you go, wow, that was fantastic. And then you look about 3 or 4 times after it over recent next few days and you go, well, actually, yeah, it was okay. And then things happen at football and it kind of gets lost. That's not going to go away. That's going to go down in the memories of everyone who was there. And also, I think just in the wider folklore, it's going to be remembered as one of them goals. A bit like, say, even though it was a brilliant goal, but like the Lilian Nallis goal against Leeds, that was remembered so well in a very strange era for Leicester, but that stood out a million miles and is still looked back so fondly right now. I just think that Fataru will be in decades to come.
Absolutely. They need to create a new edit, don't they? On the, if you're in the stadium, they always show the highlights of years gone by. And the Nallis goal features, I think, in that little clip there. And I'm sure that the Fataru one will go down as a new edit in there. I was really privileged to actually be there with my son, who's 8 years old, taking him down for the first time this season, the season ticket holders. And to watch his face when that went in was just absolutely delightful. And now we've come home and he's been trying to replicate the same thing on FIFA all week. He hasn't managed to do it yet, but he's on career mode on FIFA and trying to score a Fataru special, and he has not succeeded yet. So
anyway. It's such an outrageous strike that nobody who programs computer games would even have made it an option, surely. And I think we're talking specifically about the QPR game coming up on Saturday, but I feel like the Fataru goal, together with the victory, has instilled a sense of optimism that we probably haven't enjoyed so far yet this season, even though, Jono, as you rightly threw a little bit of caution in there with the fact that the last time we put 2 wins back to back together, we thought we'd turned a corner. We hadn't. This is now the 3rd time this season we've got back to back wins, and we are hopefully going to get 3 in a row for the first time. And that's what first time this season. That's what we're feeling. But the Fataru goal has just feels like it's given us, and hopefully a lot of people watching and listening to this, a little bit of a boost. Let's say hello to a few people that are watching along live. Blue Fox Forever, good evening, saying goal of the season contender. It could be a best goal in Leicester's history contender, Blue Fox Forever. Let's be perfectly honest. It's certainly statistically now been proven since records began to have been the goal scored from the furthest distance in the championship ever. So we'll take that one. The Shank Golf, good evening to you, saying, close to giving a few names away there, Rob. If you're just tuning in, I was mentioning the fact that from January the 1st on our new website for fox8.news, we have got some incredible interviews with ex-Leicester players lined up, and I came very close, either accidentally or on purpose, just dropping one in, but I'm pretty sure my phone would ping from Andy Moore, the 3rd member of the For Fox's Sake directorship, and he would tell me off. So not quite releasing that just yet. Also from Buzzer saying, I took my girlfriend to the game. She'd not seen a Leicester City goal live before, and she got to see those first 2 goals. This is an important point, actually. Great that your girlfriend got to see those as her opening 2. Hopefully, hopefully you realise, and she realises, it's all downhill from here. It's not going to get any better than that. But Bobby De Cordova-Reid's goal would have been very much a standout goal in most matches this season. The quality of the strike from distance, giving us that strong start to the game, but it got completely overshadowed, and quite rightly so. Andy, the other boss at For Fox's Sake, he said, "I'm watching." There we go. Yeah, so he knows what's going on. Let's get into some team news then for Leicester QPR. Ramsey back and available after a 9-game absence. 2 goals in 5 championship appearances so far this season. So good to have him back. And Monga also back, adding to Leicester's attacking options. Although we have lost our loosely attacking option in Patson Daka going off to the African Cup of Nations with Zambia. I used the word attacking loosely there. So sort of 2 in, 1 out on the attacking front. But I think Ramsey and Monga will both come back to bolster the bench. But I do think we'll see both of them later on in the second half. And Ramsey was a big miss for us in the first few games after he was injured, trying to fill that void before De Cordova-Reid was back up to full speed, trying to push Jordan James forward. He left a big hole considering he's only played 5 games this season. John, I'll come to you first. Really important, I think, for continuing this momentum to have those attacking options to come off the bench like Ramsey and like Monga. And Ramsey ultimately will be pushing for a start in that number 10 position.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I think De Cordova-Reid's probably made that the position his own, to be honest, over the last few weeks. He's scored 3 and 3 now, I believe, and looked really good. So, as he should be, to be honest, being, handsomely paid at this level, I think, and he's a decent option at this level. So De Cordova-Reid is starting to emerge as one of our key players, I think. The fact that we've got Ramsey as well as a backup is actually a really nice option to have. And I wonder what flexibility there is in either of their games to be able to potentially feature both of them. I don't know if that will be something that Marti might look at. Obviously, with the lack of striking options, whether, you play 2 number 10s or I don't know what, but, or one of them could feature as a striker potentially. I don't know. But, it's good to have Monga back as well. I think he is most definitely a bench player for me. He's not really a starter, especially as now Mavididi seems to have come back into a bit of form. I think he has to be first choice alongside Fatawu the other side. So Monga is a good option to bring on as an impact sub. So I'd agree with you. I think both of them will feature on the bench, 100%.
Tony's watching. Evening, Tony, saying don't change the side. Seem to have got selection right after months of shuffling. I would absolutely echo that, Tony, and I'm sure Pete, you would probably say the same starting lineup for you on Saturday. But good to have Ramsey and Monga back.
Yeah, excellent bench players to have and bring on, and good for them to hopefully get some time, maybe when we're 2-0 up in the game. But just to echo the thoughts of what Jono said, and he mentioned the player I was going to mention really, and that's Mavididi, who of course is not getting all the headlines like Fatawu at the moment, and James in midfield, and Skip as well, but quietly has come back into form, and he's developed. When we were in the Championship 2 years ago, he had that ability, Mavididi, to have the ball and be really slow and then drag the ball past the player and accelerate past them. Now, you need to have a lot of confidence in your ability and in your pace to do that, and also to maybe have a broad shoulder, and he's got all that. And he completely lost that in the Premier League because he just wasn't quick enough and good enough, I think. But also at the start of this season, he didn't have that at all. He checked back inside and passed the ball backwards. But now he's taking players on like Fatawu. Fatawu, even when he wasn't playing well, he will still try and take players on all the time. And that's what you want from your wingers. And when a winger then starts to cut back and play it backwards, well, essentially, you can have anyone there. You can have your goalkeeper doing that if you want him on the left wing or right wing. But he's now attacking, and we know that there's an end product in there in the Championship. And I think with him playing well, and also obviously with Fatawu on the other side, it means that we can have our 2 number 10s in De Cordova-Reid and Ramsey playing in that role, and one coming on for the other, etc. And hopefully they can just rotate for the rest of the season. Monga on the bench, a few little transfer rumours about Monga, which is a very easy thing to do in and around this time of year. It could be absolutely nothing. It could be maybe something that happens. We will wait and see. But great to have them both back. And of course, they're both attacking options. And when you lose one in Patson Daka, cue the laughter right now, then we still need replacements to maybe be that centre forward if we need, because maybe Jordan Ayew needs to come off, etc., or there's, for whatever reason, we don't have that centre forward. We need another one of those options behind who can play in that role. And I think someone like, for instance, a Dick Overy could maybe even go forward with his experience, with his general ability as well, and maybe even a Ramsey as well. But yeah, great to have them both back. And yeah, it's just good news all round. But of course, on the back of what we've seen over the recent couple of weeks, it just bolsters that squad, as you said.
And Cifuentes has said when Deco Overeed was sort of just coming back from injury, because he didn't really feature at the beginning of the season, he said he's a very smart footballer, very intelligent footballer. And I think you can see that because he's playing in the number 10 role for Leicester, but quite often you'll see him taking it off the centre backs if that midfield rotation works that way. He's played as a striker and as a winger for other clubs in the past. He's played as a fullback. He's played as a wing back. He's one of those players that can do a job pretty much anywhere, and that versatility is really, really important, and the quality that he's bringing as well. He's not just a kind of squad player who you can just pop into a little space just to fill a gap for a game. He's actually going to be effective from different positions. He might find himself, if Ramsey comes back into some form, he might find himself ousted a little bit. He might find that Cifuentes might see that this is a good opportunity to put a little bit of pressure on the likes of Mavididi and Fatawu in a positive sense, just saying, well, look, we've got Deco Overeed and Ramsey. I want to play both of them at the minute. One of them's going to have to sort of be knocking on the door for your position. It's been nice over the last few weeks to see the academy players coming off the bench to help the team see out the game. But I think over the congested Christmas fixture list, to have these two players back, Monga to come on and have an impact, Ramsey, who is up until a few weeks ago would have been a certain starter for me until Deco Overeed has found this form. Having those alongside the fact that we're all in agreement that Leicester's starting 11 is now pretty much set for the time being, I think is really, really important. You mentioned Skip, Pete. He has spoken this week saying they're not getting carried away, but he has highlighted the importance of how well they've started the games in the last few weeks, which is very, very true. And he said that it is our job to stand up and be counted, even though things weren't going our way earlier in the season. And they are great words from a player who is having a great impact on this team and has really taken the opportunity, with Winks out of favour again, to come in off the back of some very indifferent performances, but not singling him out. There were indifferent performances all over the pitch in months gone by, to actually becoming arguably in the last few games more important to Leicester's midfield than Jordan James. And honestly, those people that have watched and listened to the preview this season so far will know how much airtime we've given to Jordan James. So huge credit to Oliver Skip for his attitude, and the words here kind of echo what we see on the pitch with him, in the sense that he is really starting to prove his worth in central midfield. And I know we've said same starting 11, please, Marty, on Saturday, but he's one of the first names on that team sheet at the moment, Pete.
Absolutely. He's the player who we thought that we signed a couple of years ago. He's playing in that role, in that style. We knew it wasn't going to be pretty, but it's going to be effective, and it's being very effective. You need that player in the Championship. When a player can develop it at certain times, okay, in their career, and all of a sudden they can have that one or two games and off they go. Their career starts there. You look back on maybe like a Harvey Barnes who took it in his early 20s, and maybe in the Dewsbury Hall as well, and all of a sudden, bang, they're in the team. And after one or two performances, they're an established first-team player. Now, we're talking about a big money signing here for Leicester, so he's gone about it in a different way. And when a player has that one or two really good games, I think most of us will look back on what's been before and go, well, hang on, is this just a flash in the pan, or have we got a player now who can really stay at this level and be very consistent? And I'm one of the people who look back on their career at the football club and go, is this a bit of a flash in pan? Let's not get too carried away. But I think that's completely the opposite of what we should do now with Skip, because of the mess that he basically turned up in the Premier League, the mess that carried on in the Premier League, the fact that he never really got a run of games this season. Again, didn't really get a few run of games in the side, but also has underperformed as well since this run of games. So now I'd like to look at it and go, I think we've got the player that we originally signed, and also he's playing in a very steady role. You know, he doesn't have to do anything flash at all, and the confidence is growing, and I think he's going to be fine. I can't see his performances really dipping, and all of a sudden he's out the side. I think he's just going to be that consistent player now for the rest of the season. We don't want the 9s from him, really. We want the 9 out of 10s from Yufa Fataru's and from Mavridis. We want him to be the 7.5 out of 10 every single game, 7 and 8. That's what we want, and that's what we're getting from him. And I think he's in the side. I always wanted him alongside Winks. That's never worked. Maybe it wasn't Skip's fault. Maybe it was Winks after all. But he's a player who was much maligned by Leicester fans for obvious reasons, because of the fee and because he made no impact whatsoever in a season and a half. And now, all of a sudden, he's actually the player who Leicester fans do get behind. He's that scrapper. He's that fighter. He's the player who disrupts and puts himself about. And the player that you see an awful lot in the game, maybe doing a little bit of the dark arts in midfield and also a lot of work from off the ball. But he will get the support of Leicester fans because we like that sort of player. He tries hard as well. And that's all that we can ask for. So, yeah, Skip for me, he's in that midfield axis. But just one extra point quickly, and I mentioned this previously on the last show. Don't underestimate the power of having actually a number 10, a settled number 10 in the side as well for a player like Skip. Someone for him to pass to, someone to make himself available and pass the ball to. AKA, we liked him to Robbie Savage in the mid-late 90s. Okay, he had an abundance of players, or maybe a Neil Lennon because he looks funny with his big shorts. And he had players to pass to. He had Muzzy Is It to run around in front and make space and give himself someone to pass to. Now he's got Decordova-Reid in that position. I think that's helped Skip an awful lot.
Absolutely. We've got just less than 10 minutes left of the preview this evening. Thank you to everybody that's watching along live or watching back or listening back wherever you consume For Fox's Sake from. In a couple of minutes' time, we'll be looking at players that have played for both sides and asking for your predictions. So if you are watching along live, start thinking about those two things now. Just another reminder for you that on January the 1st, we will be launching our brand new website for foxsake.news. You can go to that website now, enter your email address, become an early interest registerer. I've not got that the right way around. Register your early interest. That's what I meant to say. And you will be eligible for a discount to our subscription site as well. The preview is going nowhere. Don't worry. That will be staying free of charge to all viewers and listeners. But for foxsake.news for lots more Leicester fan stuff, but from journalists like me, Pete, and Andy Moore, who's joined the squad for 2026. And if you haven't yet seen our previous show recorded on Sunday night for Fox's Sake, a New Era with me, Pete, and Andy, it's worth a look back to get some more details on what's to come over the next few months. Right, let's have a look at the league table then. Leicester in 8th, QPR in 9th, level on points, 31 each. Leicester's goal difference is 8 better. We're on 3. They are on -5. We've won 8, drawn 7, lost 6. They've won 9, drawn 4, and lost 8. So they're a little bit more hot and cold than us, if you like. 4 of the last 6 they've won, but they lost to Middlesbrough 3-1 last time out. They have got somebody who scores most of their goals in Rahman Burrell, he got 11 in 30 for Burton Albion last season. Has made the step up pretty successfully so far. 9 goals in 21 championship appearances. Jamaican international. He strikes me as their main danger man, really. They've got a little bit of experience at the back, QPR, but apart from that, it's kind of I don't mean to be derogatory, but it's your fairly bog standard Championship team. But we defensively have looked a little bit better in the last few games. Jono, do you back Nelson and Vestergaard to keep a man quiet who's got virtually a goal every 2 games so far?
I think I do, yeah. Going back to what Pete was saying about Skip, I think another big impact on Skip is being able to trust the back four, frankly. Nelson coming in, I think, has really helped solidify the back four, and maybe Stolarczyk coming back as well. I don't know. I mean, there's still a few question marks about Stolarczyk, possibly about his distribution, but I think that's really helped having Nelson in the back four to pick the ball back up from from Nelson into Skip, etc. So I think all in all, sorry, I've forgotten the question now.
Well, no, the question was: do you back us to? I'm not necessarily keep a clean sheet, but at least try to keep a fairly informed striker reasonably quiet.
So, yeah, because we're away, I don't know. We've struggled with clean sheets, haven't we? So I'm probably not going to suggest this is the week for us to keep a clean sheet, but I do think that is something they're probably working on and probably discussing. And certainly if I was the manager, I'd be trying to challenge them. Maybe not with free pizza, but to keep a clean sheet in the next few games. I think why not try and keep a clean sheet? And that's obviously the aim of the game. With Nelson and Vestergaard, they seem to be forming a bit of a partnership there, I think. So maybe this is the week for the clean sheet. We'll see. I don't think it will be, but I don't think it's far off. I think we're, hopefully we'll, with another good performance and a bit more confidence from this, if we do get a good result, a clean sheet isn't far away.
We need to mention Marti Cifuentes briefly because he essentially his last job was at QPR and his current job is at Leicester. And here we go. First return to Loftus Road for him. 83 games as QPR boss and a very, very mixed bag of 29 wins, 23 draws and 31 defeats. Now, I challenge any manager of QPR in the Championship to do any better than that, really. They are that kind of side. Slightly higher points per game at Leicester at the moment, 1.41, if you're interested in the stats, compared to his 1.33 at QPR. It was an interesting one when he was unveiled as the Leicester manager in the summer, because he hadn't really pulled up any trees in the Championship. He hadn't really kind of stood out. It'll be interesting, Pete, to see what kind of reaction he gets at Loftus Road on Saturday.
It will be. They've had a few managers in their past, and it'll be interesting to look back on maybe the 6 months of Marti Cifuentes at Leicester. Maybe something for Fox8.news on 1st of January. We will see. But anyway, yes, I think in terms of in terms of the response from there, I think they'll be fine, because at the end of the day, they've got a new manager. It's not one of the first games of the season, is it? It's quite late on towards Christmas, so I think they'll be fine. I think time's moved on, and it was nothing too spectacular, and he did a fairly decent job there, and they've kind of moved on. It's an interesting place, Loftus Road, isn't it? It's got that real Championship feel, and straight away you think of QPR. That my first thoughts. And we'll come on to former players, and I've got only a couple in my head, but you think of the 2 winning Championship seasons in recent decade or just over, and you think of Vardy's goal, that really crisp finish into the bottom corner, that kind of kick-started him in the Championship as well, and then obviously we went on to greatness. And then you go back a couple of years to Winks' goal. What an amazing goal that was, and they're the first things that come into mind with QPR. But with their team, the one player that I'm interested in, and it's going to be obviously the centre forwards, but with Richard Kone, of course, was one of our big links throughout the summer, and ended up at QPR. And it's got that kind of feel of, is he going to come back to bite the club, who may have absolutely been nowhere near signing him? And I kind of come down on that front. I don't think we were at all, because we weren't going to sign anyone for any cash money at all in the summer. So there's that angle there. And Elia Scher has been mentioned a million times, linked with Leicester, or from Morocco and etc. But yeah, it's got a really tight feel in terms of a Championship battle between an 8th and 9th team. But again, I'm going for goals. Okay, I don't think there's anything to do with Cifuentes and QPR. I think that'll be be absolutely fine. I just think he'll be solely focused on Leicester and this new Leicester, because ultimately it's taken him until now to find to have a team that clicks. And whether by look or by design or by having to have an argument with a player or three, he's got a side that looks like it can now progress forward. And ultimately, that's what we'll have to end up talking about on For Fox's Sake. As much as having a few results is great, once we get into January, we will obviously, everything's going to be very exciting here For Fox's Sake, but also it could get very exciting when looking at the table as well, because that table is so close, so condensed. It can go the other way. Don't get me wrong. I'm not getting ahead of myself, but it can also go quite right as well for Leicester. And a win at Loftus Road on Saturday might go a long way towards that.
It could indeed. We are very close to prediction time. So those of you watching along live, get your predictions in now. We'd like to get as many of those on the screen in the last couple of minutes of the show. Just before we do that, we'll have a little look at players that have appeared for both Leicester and QPR. And it's probably the shortest list I've looked at so far since we introduced this feature to the preview. Now, Pete's got his hand up, so I'm going to come to you first, Jono, just to annoy him and see if you can beat him to it. What one or two names jumped out for you for ex-QPR players now at Leicester or vice versa? I say that because Begovic came straight to mind because that's a recent transfer. That's my one.
Yeah, I mean, the most obvious one for me is Les Ferdinand, I think, who emerged at QPR, didn't he? He became an England player, I think, while at QPR, and then came to us when he was late on in his career. Andy Impey is another one potentially off the top of my head. Yeah, those two. I can't think of any more.
Yeah. Andy Moore of For Fox's Sake is enjoying your comment on Andy Impey there. Let's see if Tony can get in ahead of Pete, and he says Simo, I assume related to Danny Simpson, who did have a short spell at QPR. Pete, have we mentioned any of yours yet? Go on, you can speak now, or Philbert can speak if he wants.
Yeah, this is a new doorstop for Fox's Sake, by the way. That came today, and he's been telling me a few. Andy Impey was the one that I first thought of. Paul Konchesky as well, and I think there's a fair few. Simon Royce, who of course straight away you think of Wickham, don't you? The game in the FA Cup, and we won't go into that. Speaking of FA Cup goals and glorious goals, of course you go back to Trevor Sinclair and the best overhead kick of all time. But anyway, that's bygone years. I think there's a lot of players who played in between 2000 and 2010, like a real lost period at the football club for Leicester, and I think there's lots of them. But yeah, I had Paul Konchesky and Andy Impey was the one really that came to mind, Mr. No Neck.
As for the best overhead kick of all time, surely that's got to be Muzzy, is it?
As much as I'm the biggest fan of Grimsby away, Muzzy, is it? I think it's a glorious goal. It has to be. If that's a 9.5 out of 10, the 10 out of 10 still has to be Trevor Sinclair. That's the benchmark, isn't it, of overhead kicks? It's outrageous. Barnsley in the FA Cup, I want to say 94, something like that.
There's a time and a place for that discussion, and right at the end of the preview show is absolutely not the one. Pete's right about that kind of bygone era. There's Marcus Bent, Wayne Brown, DJ Campbell, John Curtis, Damien Delaney, all big names from that era. Yeah. And one I forgot to mention actually, Ben Hamer, who is currently at QPR. So there's almost been a sort of, we've got an ex-QPR keeper, they've got an ex-Leicester keeper. Anyway, there we are. Predictions coming in. We'll do the viewers' predictions first this evening. Andy saying 2-1 Leicester. Tony's going 2-0 to Leicester. Blue Fox Forever also saying 2-0 Leicester win. Got to be time for a clean sheet. Let's go around the room. Jono, prediction time?
Yeah, I'd like a clean sheet, but I don't think it'll happen this week. I'm looking at Boxing Day for the clean sheet maybe, but this week I'm going for a 3-1. I think we're 2 goals. We'll beat them by 2, hopefully with a quick start. But yeah, I think we'll get a 3-1.
Pete?
Yeah, I was going to go 3-1. I can see Leicester going in front 2-0. getting a good start. They maybe score, and Kone I mentioned earlier, and then maybe someone like Monga coming off the bench and being inspired by what's happened recent weeks and grabbing a third. So I'm going to go 3-1 as well.
I'm going to finish the preview with a prediction of 3-2 to Leicester. I think there's going to be a hatful of goals to enjoy. Thank you very much to everybody that's watched along live, and thank you also to you if you're watching or listening back at a later date. This has been the preview looking ahead to Leicester versus QPR. One last reminder of our new website launching on the 1st of January. For foxake.news, that is your new destination for all things Leicester City. Subscription prices are reduced if you register your interest early by going to forfoxake.news now. Pop in your email address in, then you'll be eligible for a discount. Loads and loads of great stuff to come on forfoxake.news. Thank you to Jono. Thank you to Pete. Thank you to everybody that's contributed to the show tonight. Everybody's backing Leicester to score at least 2 and to win the game against QPR on Saturday.